Hello, and welcome to, well, I guess it's episode 173 of Checkpoint Chat, but it is our Game of the Year.
Hold up.
Episode for 2021. We are recording this literally on the back of the previous episode, so yes, we are wearing the same clothes. Maybe we should have worn different clothes.
Should have showered, damn it.
Yeah, I should have showered. I don't know. I'm still drinking the same Monster energy drink.
Yeah, but you didn't finish that in the last episode? This is episode 172, FYI, not 173. Jumped the gun. You're already living in 2022.
Fuck. Listen, there's one thing that 2021 taught me, is that I still can't count.
Time means no. Oh, okay.
Time means nothing too. But
and yes. You can't count. You got it. But
this is our Game of the Year episode. If you've been with the podcast for a while, you'll know that, as is tradition, Matthew and I, we pick our 5 favorite games of the year, and just a couple of honourable mentions here and there to just chat about, to celebrate the things that kept us most entertained during the year, the games that we felt pushed gaming forward, the games that we just spent a lot of time playing because they were hella fun. And sometimes some of the games on the list or in the honorable mention might not have released specifically in 2021 because, hey, we all got backlogs. No one has all the time in the world to play all the games in 2021. So if I played a game that was 2 years old or 20 years old, I can put that on my list because guess what? This is our podcast.
It's our party.
It's our party.
We want. It's okay.
I'm deciding what's in the punch. I'm deciding what snacks to serve.
We're putting old games in the punch.
You're deciding to attend. If you don't want to attend with our Game of the Year selections, then, well, we hope you do attend because it's going to be a fun podcast. I think before we dive into our top 5 lists each, do you want to rattle off your honorable mentions in the meantime?
All of my honorable mentions, I have 6.
6 honorable mentions.
Not going to spend too much time with them, but hold up. I've got to timestamp this. Because I'm being super serious with the admin here. Okay, so... I
got you.
Number 6 on my honorable list, Unpacking. Just
nice.
Little indie surprise this year, a little 3 to 4 hour experience where you literally unpack the life of somebody, unpack boxes of somebody over the course of their life. And yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I don't know, do you want to alternate? Do you want me to just rattle off my list quickly?
I think go with yours and then I'll come. We'll alternate when you get to the actual list.
The actual things. Deathloop, not in my Game of the Year top 5, surprisingly. Despite platinuming the game and really enjoying it.
Did you platinum it? I did not know that.
And enjoying the overall loop of the game. I found that the ending really soured it for me. I was expecting this huge payoff, and man, the game did not deliver it. So, don't get me wrong, the game itself real good. Will definitely, it won some awards at the Game Awards. But yeah, not for me. It's sad though. I just have a bit of a sour taste in my mouth.
I think a Deathloop 2 is going to be really good.
Returnal, keeping with the PS5 exclusives. I think this game, again, could have been in my top 5. Really enjoyed it, but it's just not enough to seal the deal. Really good game, regardless. I can't give it much criticism other than it had a bit of a shoddy launch and a very high difficulty ceiling. Just the game is hard,
game was fucking hard,
which is off-putting for a lot of people. And I lost a couple of runs just from technical issues, which is again
that was a bummer at launch.
Which just again bummer. Made me go, oh, you're good, but you're just not the cutting edge game you should be. Number 4 on my honorable mentions, Forza Horizon 5 for the simple fact that. Never did I think.
I'm very curious what your list is going to be now.
Oh my god,
there's at least 2 honorable mentions here that I'm like, okay.
My list will probably be very boring compared to yours because it's very me. But yeah, Forza Horizon 5 is just a racing game that I did not expect to put close to 30 hours into.
You really. You were engulfed by that game.
Look, I know I play Trackmania, and that itself also treats as an exception because I played with friends and it's just a good time. But for me to sit mostly by myself and just lose time to this open world, yeah, Forza Horizon 5, great game. Fifth on my honorable mentions, Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Great game.
Really great game. The boss fights are chef's kiss. Music is fantastic. It's just
that jump animation, super weird.
Jump animation, super weird. Just the game itself, I don't want to say it's rough around the edges, but it's a weird thing of the game's really good, but there are a couple things just holding it back from being, the best game it could be. Yeah. And then my last honorable mention is Mario Bowser's Fury. Well, I mean, I know that game comes as a package at Super Mario 3D World, but Bowser's Fury for me was just a surprise as well. Didn't really expect much from it, but it gives a taste of what future Mario games could look like. I mean, they could not look like this, but if it does look like this, color me very, very excited for what the next core Mario game is going to look like. It's this huge open world that you can tackle at your own leisure, and it's fun. It's just good Mario fun. So yeah, that is my list of honorable mentions.
Very good list. I mean, a great list of games that could be someone else's top 5, like
exactly
beat for beat almost. Well,
I want to just addendum this by saying that, remember, these choices are completely subjective. You can agree, disagree.
My choices and your choices. And I would actually love to hear if you're a listener and you are partial to sending in questions, you can email us your top 5. Would love to know.
Top 3, top 5, whatever. Tell us what games you love.
checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can just tweet us at checkpointchat.
I'll put out a tweet later this week, I think.
Yeah. Okay. My honorable mentions also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. And at least one game that is extremely old.
Oh no.
So let's start with that one, I guess. Symphony of the Night.
Oh, shocker.
I played Symphony of the Night for the first time this year. The game is what? PS1 era game. Fuck, that game is good. Holy shit.
It's real good.
Game is so good. Like, just top-notch Metroidvania stuff. I had a really, really great time just engulfing that game and getting the true endings. I felt it was a bit easy. I definitely feel like Alucard gets super strong by the end of it, and I was just kind of like fucking blowing through bosses like it was nobody's business. But yeah, game itself is really, really good, and the pixel art style, chef's kiss.
I mean, that game was probably game of the year in its year for a number of people. Yeah, so
super good.
No shock there.
Okay, then I've got The Forgotten City. Which I think is a phenomenal narrative-based game that, it started off as a mod for Skyrim. It's now its own full game, and I think it does... Oh, my video is frozen, by the way.
Oh, shit, sorry. I'm busy doing some stuff, yeah.
I think it is a really, really good... It's a very good way to do like an organic, evolving narrative within a time loop. In a year where we had so many time loop games, this one stood out.
Yeah.
Very much. So I would recommend you all play it if you have a PC. It's not super long. Not super long, but I think it's a very cool like detective story within ancient Rome. So yeah, very cool. Very, very
2022, the year of the time loops, let's be honest.
Yeah, very much so. Next on the list, Death's Door. I really, really liked Death's Door. I think it's a great action adventure game with an isometric view. It is not roguelite. I still see people asking whether this game's roguelite. It's not.
Fun fact, I left Death's Door off my honorable mentions too. My bad. It's there. It's my surprise honorable mention.
See, I thought it was in your top 5. That's why I thought you didn't mention it. Yeah.
No. It's honorable mention for me too.
But yeah, Death's Door is really good. I think it's got a really gorgeous art style. It's got really good combat, and just a cool premise. The idea of being a crow that goes out into the world and retrieves souls from people who've been holding on to them for too long. So I think that end boss fight is really dope. The way it like jumps between all of its biomes is really fun. So yeah, good game. Next honorable mention, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Great game. One of the best Ratchet and Clank games out there. Really good visual showcase for the PS5. but it is just Ratchet and Clank. Like, it doesn't do anything really phenomenal or different with the formula, but it probably has some of the best set pieces I've ever seen in a game yet. It's just really up there, top tier stuff. Just not like, it is something I played and kind of wasn't surprised by, put it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah. Next one, Deathloop. Pretty much the same reasons as you. I thought the
game,
murder... Yeah, Murder Sandbox is really novel as an idea. I think it's the best feeling arcane game yet, you know, having played Dishonored and loving Dishonored. I just felt those games felt a bit janky every now and then. Deathloop doesn't. Deathloop is smooth and fun, and the gunplay is really good. And the premise is really good. I just think that story just nosedives right at the end. It's really disappointing.
It's a pity. It just sours, for us too.
It sours
really
the entire
sours the whole
experience.
thing.
It really does.
I was expecting this huge payoff, and then it's not.
And especially
really.
because you do the final loop, and the act of doing the final loop is just so much fun. And then that's the payoff. It just feels like a betrayal almost.
Yeah.
It's not great. So yeah. Last honourable mention, Halo Infinite. Mostly because I haven't played enough of the campaign to give it a shake, really. I assume that it will probably be on my top 5 if I played it, but just the number of hours I've spent with the multiplayer alone, it is it's the best shooter I've played this year. Like, in a year where Call of Duty Vanguard and Battlefield really disappointed, Halo came in and was just like, yeah, this is why I'm one of the best first-person shooter series of all time. And just what a revival for the series. Having a fucking great time with it. So yeah,
even me.
That's all my
it's
honorable
not in
mentions.
my top 5. Shock! What is in the top 5? Who knew? Who knew? So who wants to? Do you want to kick off with your number 5? Would you like me to kick off with my number 5?
I can go with my number 5 here. Number 5 of my best games of 2021. Returnal.
Shocker!
I really like Returnal, and it's a game that I've toyed around with the idea of going back and just restarting and giving it another go. You know, I had issues with it at launch. I think the lack of like a save point between console resets. I just want to make that clear. I don't think it needs an in-run save game to like, you know, pick up on a run if I've died. I think the game very much expects you to die, and its whole gameplay depends on that as well. So I think technical issues aside, I think Housemarque knocked it out of the park here. It is visually and you know, beautiful in terms of sound. It's exceptional, like one of the best uses of the 3D audio on the PS5. And I really liked the challenge of it. Like, it infuriated me. I could not make progress for a long time, but the sense of achievement and satisfaction once you passed a biome or got into a new biome and were on such a good run that, you know, it's like my hands were sweating. Like, I don't want to die on this run because it's so good. Just really, really phenomenal. Also, and the boss fights were insanely well designed.
Great set pieces. Well, you know, quotes unquote set pieces. Also, the game that introduced me to the idea of a half trigger on the DualSense.
Yeah, I think also one of the best uses of it.
Yeah, which is very weird in the first hour, but then becomes second nature. And I want more games to utilize that.
I mean, so many shooters have utilized the half trigger presses in a very predictable way, and sometimes in a very annoying way. Like, I felt like Call of Duty Vanguard made it worse. Like, the amount of pressure you need to exert to aim down the sights of a sniper, it's just dumb. It makes no sense, and it doesn't add positively to the game experience. I feel like
that's frustrating.
Returnal's very, very good with that. Like, half press is one type of fire from your gun, and a full press is another. And like you said, it takes some getting used to. Every now and then I was pulling off a full fire when I meant to half fire, but man, when you get into the rhythm of it, it doesn't feel like that game can be played in any other way. You know what I mean? Even though it allows you to turn it off and not, it's very good. I think, you know, that game is very much a video game backwards and forwards. The accelerated movement, the very game-like jump and melee. It's not trying to be realistic. And I mean, the colorful, huge bullets that enemies fire at you is very Housemarque design. But I just
visual eye
think it
candy.
worked very well. Yeah,
Well,
I loved it.
to go from I mean, they are very much
2D.
2D shoot 'em ups. I don't know if that's the right term.
It was like shoot 'em ups and twin stick shooters as well.
Twin stick shooters, yeah. To go from that and put that sort of flavor into a 3D space with an action game is like hats off to them.
It was a big jump.
Really,
yeah. I'm very keen to see what they do next because it's great.
Yeah. Okay, my number 5, not Returnal because that is an honorable mention, but Metroid Dread, which is a game that you still need to play. But I mean, I've in my review of the game and my initial impressions of the game, I've said this, at length. But this game is just designed in a way that like left my not jaw dropping, but it made me feel like wow. Just the number of times I've gone into an area, got an ability, and looped back and popped out into a previous area and gone like, how the hell did they piece this together? Like, how did they? I'd look at that and I imagine there's like a logic puzzle of like it's possible, but I don't know how you do it. But they do that through the whole game, where you just very, very carefully led into the right place, but it's not in your face at all. And
just great game design.
Yeah, it's just really a showcase piece of good game design, and the game itself, is just fantastic as a result. It's a classic Metroid game, but being on a modern platform, right? It's weird to say that in 2021 we have a Game of the Year Metroid because I mean it also won an award at the Game Awards. But even the whole thing of the loop of you start out with a little pew pew cannon, and then 20 minutes later you get a new ability, and 30 minutes later you get a new ability, and you think they're going to exhaust ideas very quickly, but they just don't. The game will take you 8 to 12 hours, and you're consistently being fed new things and new enemies, and it's just real good. So I enjoyed
and also
it.
A surprise that when we
announced
started this year,
and then
Metroid Dread didn't exist, type of thing. Yeah. So that's always a nice one when a surprise like that pays off in spades. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, what will the next Metroid game be? I have to believe this ignited some sort of interest in the franchise again because it's just fantastic. So
give us Metroid Prime 4. Give us that remaster collection.
The remaster, hands down, is coming out soon. I'd say maybe this year, maybe the following year. But yeah, I think it's safe to say the franchise is in a good place again. So yeah. What is your number 4?
So number 4 is a bit of a cheat because it's something that came out last year, but also came out this year technically, and I only played it this year. So,
oh no,
I'm pretty sure you can guess what it is.
It came out last year, but you played it this year.
It also came out this year technically.
Oh, is it Outer Wilds? No.
Outer Wilds came out ages ago.
Oh,
Final Fantasy Remake. Final Fantasy Remake Intergrade.
I actually forgot all about that. I forgot you didn't finish that last year.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I started it last year, never got to it. And then when they announced that it was getting a PS5, remaster or upgrade or whatever you want to call it, I was like, cool, I'll wait for that.
Yeah.
And that came out in May or June? No, June. Came out in June. That game fucking rules, man.
I mean, that was my game of the year last year, and it's cool because now you can understand why it was my game of the year last year.
Start to finish, that is just top tier game. Like really fucking good action, phenomenal production value. Every year now and then it gets a bit like, I wouldn't say grindy, but you can definitely tell where it was like, cool, we're gonna extend this period out. But it didn't feel. I never felt annoyed by it. I felt like I was getting story very consistently, and the character interactions were just great. Like, chapters and chapters of Aerith and Cloud interacting was phenomenal.
I mean, that game is a good example of when the demo came out and we played it, we thought, man, this is great, but how are they going to keep it up for a full game?
Yeah.
And when the game dropped, they did.
They fucking do.
Every chapter there are like fantastic cinematics. So there's a great boss fight, and it's unrelenting in the action it serves you, and it's fun. Like it reinvented Final Fantasy VII while not straying too far away from what makes Final Fantasy VII great. So
and by the end of it, it's surprising because they change the ending. They allude to some weird shit that they're trying to do with the story, and I am so here for it. Like. I was hyped as hell after that ending. I was reading theories. I was looking at videos, all sorts. I think that game is phenomenal. Really, really good stuff, and far better than I think most people thought that a remake of that game would be.
Exactly. Also, makes me nervous for part 2 because how do you follow a game
following that up is going to be
good?
hard. Yeah.
And not only that, like this game set in Midgar, which is like the first part of the original game. Now we're going, quote unquote open world.
Yeah, so it's not like they can just reuse a bunch of stuff. It's
it's crazy.
Very interested to see where it goes, but man, I just loved every moment of playing through that in the middle of this year, and I was just glad I got to. So
yeah, I'm glad you made the time for it as well. I gotta go play Integrate, little DLC that dropped this year.
Yeah, I need to do that. Need to do that.
My number 4. Now, this is a weird one because normally I'll only ever put a game on my list if I finished it, but I'm very close to finishing this game, and I absolutely love it. It Takes Two. So this, interestingly enough, won Game of the Year this year. And it's weird because when it was first nominated, it was a thing of, I hadn't played it and I was like, damn, I heard good things about this game, but sure, to be a Game of the Year nominee, like, okay, it must be really good. And even while playing it, I told the story a week or 2 ago. I turned to Lenska and I said, can you see this as a Game of the Year nominee, when we had only played for like an hour or 2? And she was like, yeah, like it's good, but it's, it's just a normal co-op platformer. And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. And then fast forward to, I suppose, like 10 to 11 hours in, and I asked her again, I said, do you see this as a Game of the Year nominee? And she said, yeah, now I do. I can completely understand why this has received such high praise. Because I think when you play the game, it's very clear that this team just had a lot of fun making the game. Like the gameplay mechanics they throw at you, they're always fresh. They don't stay too long, but they never like cease to amaze me. I mean, every time we got a new tool or mechanic or something, it was like, oh, cool, we're going to get to use this for the next 30 to 60 minutes, and then they're going to take it away from us and give us something else. And it always just felt fresh. I mean, it's not unusual for this during the course of this game to just suddenly be playing a different genre of game, like to give you a taste of the sort of creativity and just fun things that they throw at you. So I think as a number 4, I think if I'd finished it, might have ranked higher, but yeah, definitely a top contender for me this year. What a good time. If you're looking for a co-op game, like this is a must play. And even that in itself is worth just explaining, that in the year 2021 to release a game that is an exclusive, you have to find somebody to play this with. Like that is a huge gamble.
Massive.
And it paid off. It's really what a great game. So
the fact that Hazelight and its leader Joseph Fares keep pushing in this direction, carving, like forcibly making this niche for themselves. It's admirable because like it really these are the types of games that EA could just be like, fuck that, we're not publishing that, So,
I mean, and it didn't just win Game of the Year. It won Best Family Game and Best Multiplayer Game, and like that just tells you something. Like reviewers loved it, and
I honestly did not expect it to win. When it did, it was a big surprise. So I'm very eager to give it a go.
Yeah,
very, very
do
eager.
It. Cool. What is your number 3?
Number 3 is Outer Wilds: Echoes of the Eye. Another game which, I thought I was done with. Outer Wilds, very very good puzzle exploration game that kind of wraps up very neatly by the end of it. But this year, the developers announced a DLC, a big DLC, called Echoes of the Eye, and boy, if that is not just, I don't know how they did it. Like, again, like, how do you follow up something like Outer Wilds while keeping it still very much in the vein of that game, but still making the sense of exploration new? And it's just Mobius, they knocked it out of the park with this thing. It doesn't require any of your knowledge from Outer Wilds and still manages to create new puzzles within the same sort of framework and mechanics of the game while introducing new ones that I think are just very, very smart. The fact that it takes place in one area as opposed to you hopping between planets might seem weird, but the amount of content and variety that pack into this one area, while also making the area itself very intrinsically part of the loop, I think is just so smart. It's so difficult to talk about how smart this game is without giving it away entirely.
I mean, having played the original, you can't even talk about the game because you want people to experience it completely fresh.
Yeah. I mean, a whole reason this game stands out and probably will never leave my memories just because of the impression it leaves on you with its sense of discovery. The number of, oh my God, I understand moments or like eureka moments, they just feel so special and they feel earned. Yeah. And I think designing a game like that must be one of the most challenging things in the world. Like how you balance that. How do you breadcrumb trail a player along just enough so that when they eventually get to the discovery, it feels self-earned, but at the same time, you give them enough of a poke and a prod in the right direction that they don't feel frustrated by not figuring things out. It's an exceptional feat of design that I don't think any other studio in the world is matching at this point. Yeah. And that's why this game will forever be like very special to me.
It's like one of the greatest of all times.
The expansion is just fantastic and the way it adds to the lore is phenomenal. The new ending that it brings is just great. Really, really good.
I need to make time for it.
Yeah. Very good game.
My number 3, Monster Hunter Rise.
Interesting.
Which is just as surprising to you as it is to me. So just for some clarity, Monster Hunter Rise came out, I think it was February or March this year. And
wasn't it January?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the year, super early. And we basically secured paid work for Nintendo to do guides for them. So it's one of those things of like, okay, cool, we've got this work. Shit, I've never played Monster Hunter before. I need to really get into this game because I need to put together content for it. And just the act of that of like, cool, I need to play as much of this game as possible turned very much from I need to sink my time into this because I have to I can't stop playing this game. Like it's so interesting because my good friend and colleague John Michael, he's often told me, he's said to me, you have to play Monster Hunter World. It's such a great game. I really think you'll like it. And it's one of the things of like, I probably will. I haven't really had the incentive or the urge to do it. And then Monster Hunter Rise lands, and that is the thing of, I'll play it for 20 to 30 hours, and those 20 to 30 hours very quickly became 130 plus hours, if not more, because it's just Monster Hunter, and I get it now. It's this loop of you literally, you start out with some basic gear, you go hunt a monster, you get some parts, you build better gear to hunt better monsters, and you rinse and repeat for dozens and dozens of hours. But I think what makes the game just that much addictive outside of that grind is that there are lots of weapons to choose from, and the weapons for all intents and purposes are your different classes. Your weapon dictates what sort of class you're playing, and you pick one and you learn to master it. So like most of my time is spent playing the longsword, which makes the game a melee close combat affair, whereas if you choose to play with the light bowgun, all of a sudden you're playing a third person action shooter, if that makes sense. It just surprised me. I didn't expect to love this game as much as I did, and like if you told me I would have put that much time into Monster Hunter, I would have been like, no, I won't. I'll play it a bit and move on with my life. But I just could not put this game down for the first few months that I had it. I mean,
best anime weapons of 2021.
And then there's an expansion coming out next year, and it's coming out on PC. And I'm having the conversation of like, am I going to replay it on PC? Like,
hell yeah, man, we're gonna do it. You, me, John Michael, we're gonna go hunt, party up there. Yeah,
and on that, the multiplayer aspect, the fact that this game it's a Switch exclusive. It's not anymore. It's coming to PC, but the fact that this game ran as well as it did on Switch. I don't know, like Nintendo don't get their multiplayer stuff right, or they get it right, but it's always janky. Monster Hunter Rise is like Capcom saying, hey Nintendo, here's how you do multiplayer on your own system.
Yeah, it actually works the way you think it does.
Parting up and loading in is just so seamless, and it works. Like it's really, really, really good. So yeah.
I will put Monster Hunter Rise up there for teaching me what Bunny Dango is, and I want it. It looks so
I want to
delicious.
have
And
some bunny dango.
if you skip that cutscene at any point in the game, you're a monster.
You're a monster, yeah.
Yeah, you need to watch the little cats talking about fluffy bunny dango.
Singing
every
the
time.
song of their people.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Great
Now,
game, actually, yeah.
What is your number 2?
My number 2, which will definitely give away what my number 1 is,
I know.
almost certainly.
Without a doubt.
My number 2 is Forza Horizon 5.
Vroom, vroom.
I love this game. I just, I've spoken about it in the podcasts a bunch, but I didn't feel Forza Horizon 4 that much. Coming off of 2 and 3, which I loved as well. 4 just didn't scratch the right itch for me, and I feel like 5 just goes right back to what I love about the series. It's a like a tapas menu of the region that it's representing.
It's a nice way to describe it.
Yeah,
it's a bit of everything.
It's a bit of everything from Mexico, but at the same time, it's done tastefully. I feel like a lot of Mexican content creators that I've followed have said, "Oh, it's very nice seeing our country represented outside of the orange drug cartel veneer that is often
Breaking
just
Bad."
Yeah, exactly. So it's a celebration of all the color and culture of Mexico, and I think it makes for a very interesting and varied map for Forza Horizon, because you've got like the deserts and the dense cities and a volcano of all things and beaches,
some lush jungles.
It's just beautiful. Just one of the most gorgeous looking games I've ever seen in my life. And on top of that, it's Forza Horizon. The racing continues to be top notch. It lets you tune it to the sort of realism or simulation or arcade sensibilities that you want. It can be the racing game that you want it to be on your terms. It doesn't say you need to play it like X, Y, and Z. And I think part of the reason 5 stands out in that regard is because it also imbues that into its story. It's like you can pursue what festival types and race types you like first and do those. And you can kind of just do those ad nauseum. You don't really need to progress the story if you want.
No.
You can just do street races if you really want to. So,
but I think that speaks. Well, that's part of why the game clicked with me so much as well. It was like my experience with quote unquote hardcore races. I mean, Forza Horizon's not a hardcore simulation racer, but I think of games like Gran Turismo, which I really enjoy. But that is strictly like you start right at the bottom. You've got a slow ass car and you need to do races, get money, then you get a faster car and you keep going until you get the
progress through the licenses. Yeah.
Whereas Forza is literally like, cool, yeah, here's your starting 5, one of which is a McLaren to give you an indication of like
fucking crazy.
The level of what they'll just give you. And then it's just that of it's this constant feed of, okay, cool, do a race, win a car, get XP, do a wheel spin. Oh, cool, you've won another car. Cool, you've got money now. Go buy another car. Do some races. Do you want to do, do you want to do a normal street race? Cool. Do you want to do some rally driving? Cool. Like, there's just so much to do.
Do you want to race a rival on the way to doing a race? Do you want to do this drift zone on the way to a race? Like, everything in Forza Horizon 5 rewards you for just playing. Exactly. And it's like, are you having fun with this game? Cool. That's what we want. We're going to reward you for that. We're not going to make you do parts of the game that you don't enjoy just so you can progress the story or your car collection.
I'm at a point now where I think I've unlocked every festival. I've still got some story stuff to do, but I'm like, have I technically finished this game? It's just like my map is still full of stuff. I've got so much to do.
I mean, you can just play.
Do you ever roll credits in this game? Like, is there a set condition that's like, hey, have some credit?
I guess so, but it's Forza Horizon especially has become very much a live game that isn't called a live game, because you got seasons that introduce new cars and new race types and stuff like that, and it is very much a game that, hey, if you take 2 months break, you come back to it, you can just pop in for a race or two. And I used to do that a lot with 3 and 4. I'd just be like, oh, feeling like a racing game, pop into Horizon for a day. It's fucking great. So yeah, I really like it. I feel like as well, this game with its more personal stories, I feel like it gets down to the reason people have such a connection to cars and racing. I think the Vocha
the actual
series
story
of
stuff,
races were really good. Really, really nice. And I think it is just a celebration of cars. It's like you go to the barns, you find old cars, you get them restored. Sometimes they like a D-class cars. So like, you have this S1 or S3 Mercedes that can fucking hit 400 Ks an hour almost. But here I'm driving this like little very old Ferrari or very old Toyota just because, it's a classic car. So yeah.
Yeah. And just last thing on that game, the selection of cars.
Just phenomenal.
I'd be curious to see what is omitted, like out of the hardcore racing cars, because it feels like there's everything. Even like I did a wheel spin the other day and I won a van. I was like, why is this in this game? They licensed this van to put it in.
It's like gambling where you always win.
Yeah,
essentially,
it's so good. Forza, like that game. Okay, my number 2, which is of course going to now reveal my number 1, which I'm pretty sure is the same as yours, but my number 2, Outer Wilds.
We have
the only reason it's not my number 1, I'll say, is that, and again, like this is just me imposing my own rules on myself. It didn't come out this year. I think if this game came out this year, it would be hands down the best thing I've ever played. But yeah, with the Echoes of the Hour DLC coming out, I said to myself, shit, it's about time I went back and played, the original Outer Wilds, which in 2019 won a shit ton of awards, and people like you revered it as, one of the most unusual and memorable games you've ever played. And having played it now, I've never played anything like this in my entire life. I think I can confidently say that this game, I mean, you basically said all of this stuff earlier because you spoke about the expansion, but I've never played a game that made me feel so smart without really like explicitly feeding me information. It was a thing of, when you start out, you have no real objective. It's just you in this universe doing your thing, exploring planets. But then you start reading these notes left behind by this, other race, and you start sort of piecing together like, oh, there's a story here, and it kind of is an objective. But how you figure things out and how it happens almost organically of, okay, I know this piece of information. I've just discovered this piece of information. Oh, what if I put the two together and I went to this planet to do that? And then you do that and you go to that planet and you get another piece of information. And then eventually you've got like maybe 3 to 5, threads that you have to follow. And just unraveling them it's one of the most satisfying and, best feelings a game's ever given me. I mean, the whole act of me messaging you every time I discovered something, it was like pure glee of, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe this has happened, or I figured this out. I can't believe this is where this game's going. I need to play the expansion because, like you said, how do you follow a game like that? But they did it with Echoes of the Hour. So, yeah.
I'm so glad you got to play this game this year because it's a game that I was like, always like, you will definitely enjoy this game, but you need to really dedicate the time to, giving it a go. And I think you were on leave, actually.
I was on leave. So,
year, where you just like sat down and you're like, cool, I'm going to play this. And just watching you like come to certain revelations over time was almost like I was getting to experience it again. It was really fun
because I was not shy to message you, be like, hey, I just figured this out.
Oh my God, I just figured this out. Oh my God, I just figured this out. And like, it's really so good.
It's one of those, again, just to hammer the point home, it's such a weird game to recommend because it's like, I've told so many people, please play this game, but I actually cannot tell you what it's about because how do you describe it? It's a time loop game where you just explore the universe, but even that doesn't feel like a fair description because it's a lot more than that. And it's just what a phenomenal experience. And
it's a big universe that feels small and intimate.
It's just one of those things that I want more people to play. I want to sit them down and say, hey, give it like 1 to 3 hours and see if it speaks to you. If it doesn't, like, cool, move on. But when it gets that one hook in you and you just, I couldn't stop playing this game. It was a thing of, I was on leave, but I was dying to just dive in and figure out what's the next thing. What's the next thing I can tick off? Where's
what's
the next place
layer
to
I can peel away?
Yeah. And when you
Yeah.
finally figure everything out, you put it together. It's just like, it's what a game.
It's a mind-blowing thing. Like the ending is, and it's also just unexpected. Like the thing that I thought would be most important to learn in the game isn't actually the thing you need to finish it. Like not even close. Yeah, it's really good.
Say no more. Spoilers. Well, this is interesting. We have the same number one. I'm very, very confident in thinking that.
Which is kind of cool because then we can just both speak in unison about it. And in a way, then it is Checkpoint Chat's Game of the Year that we came to organically because
we
both
never,
of us had
we
our
never
own
shared
lists.
our list. Yeah.
Yeah, we never shared our lists with each other. And I mean, last year we had different top games.
We had different top games, yeah.
It's
12 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely 12 minutes. My game of the year, and I assume Matthew's game of the year, and I guess Checkpoint Chat's game of the year is Chicory. A Colorful Tale. What a game. Just
it's
unbelievable.
I think biggest surprise of this year for me.
Yeah,
like
easily.
It's one of those weird things of we both follow Lena Rain, who's the composer for Celeste. So obviously we're both big fans. And I remember her tweeting, I don't know, a year or two ago, like, I'm doing the soundtrack for this game called Chicory. And
I found out about it from her as well.
Yeah, and I looked at it as like, okay, it's like a black and white something where you paint the world in. And cool, I'm keen to check it out when it launches. And then when it launched, I did not expect to like this game as much as I did. Like, what a surprise for a number of reasons. I mean, we could probably bounce off each other, but the fact that this game has such a good narrative and tackles such, like stigmatized topics, but in such a light-hearted and very like scarily relatable way in a number of instances without beating you over the head with it. It's I don't know how you get that balance right. Like it's
That's 100%. It's a game that doesn't shy away from tackling the issues of mental health, from imposter syndrome, from burnout, all things that I think in some way or another every player can relate to. I think especially in the past year we've had the idea of just being tired, the idea of always looking over your shoulder and seeing someone doing something and thinking, wow, they are so much better than me, I will never be on that level. And just not giving yourself the benefit of the doubt when you are doing the best you can, and the best you can is phenomenal. And I think you're perfectly right when you say the game doesn't beat you over the head with this. It tells it in such an organic way with such relatable characters and such an affecting story. It's really special, really special. One of the best video game stories I've ever experienced. And I understand that it might not hit for everyone in the same way. And especially the game's aesthetic might not...
that puts off people like immediately.
It's some people just can't deal with the fact that, it's like, it is a digital coloring book, but at the same time, it also is, and maybe it's because it takes a while to get to this point, but it's also like one of the coolest adventure puzzle games I've played since like Portal 2.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
story
really
aside,
good.
The gameplay itself, it's
it's
the closest comparison I'd have is it's almost like a Zelda game, but it's not really a Zelda game. But the level of puzzles that they throw at you and stuff, and just the mechanics, with a paintbrush, super clever. I mean, from that front, I had fun just playing through the game from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminded me. Yeah, I think like if you cross over a Zelda with a Portal, you get what Chicory's gameplay vibe is going for, because you've got this paintbrush that can paint in the world with different color palettes. But as you progress, you start unlocking new abilities for the brush. So like you can swim in the paint that you color, and that allows you to go into previously unentered parts. There's plants around that react differently to when they're colored in and when they're erased out. And the way it combines all these things, especially I think in the final third, the way puzzles all kind of meld together, and
yeah.
you have this like climatic ending with all the puzzles, like climbing some of the hills or discovering some of the islands out that you didn't even think existed.
It's almost like a
It's
Metroidvania
really good.
in that way.
Yeah.
It is
Very
a thing
much
of like
so.
you can technically access the whole map, but you can't because you don't have all the abilities you need to.
Yeah.
But I think also what makes the game stand out is that it sort of lets you have a personalized experience. Because I mean, right off the bat, you asked to choose the name for your character, which sounds dumb, but it doesn't actually ask you the name of your character. It says, "What's your favorite
Didn't
food?"
we both name our character's name the same?
Pizza. So it frames it like, hey, what's your favorite food? Cool. This is the name of your character. And it seems like weird at first, but you realize you're in a world where everything is named after a food. And you fit in.
Essentially.
And then, I mean, I have my character named Pizza running through this world. And then it's actually my world. I get to choose how to color in. The clothes I wear, I mean, we all laughed at it, but right at the beginning, it's one of the characters says, hey, could you design a shirt for me? And I drew a stick man. And the person's like, oh, awesome. What a nice t-shirt. Here you go. And I put it on. It's like, yeah, this is my character now. Like, I designed this shirt. It's as basic of a design as it is. Yeah, absolutely loved it. What a great game. Like, I've just checked my list. I finished it in early July. And I often think about this game. Just on a day it pops in. I'm just like, man, what a good game. Like, it left such an impression on me. And I think it's a
strong impression. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for that reason. Of also, I have a theory or a belief that the less you know about something, the more you enjoy it. And I knew nothing about Chicory. I mean, the same for Outer Wilds, just for comparison reasons. And going in, I just feel that I was blown away, like completely surprised about this game.
It's really good. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It balances its very very heavy themes with some lightheartedness and brevity. Like some of your character's reactions to certain things, the way it's animated is just beautiful, like really, really funny. And then, I mean, it bounces between that and like really evocative and really, really distressing at times boss fights that they take the very saccharine and cheerful veneer of the game and flip it on its head. It feels you know for a fact that this is a hard point for your character and for the character of Chicory to be going through. And I think it ends on a really good note. It doesn't feel unearned, the ending, and at the same time it has a message to give you at the ending, like everything's going to be okay type of thing, and that, I mean, we haven't even spoken about how phenomenal the soundtrack is. I mean, Lena Raine,
real good.
Celeste, she's done some work for Minecraft, busy working on the soundtrack for the next game by Matty Thorsten.
Is it Earthblade?
Yeah, something like that. But it's still a while away. I know it's still, but man, the soundtrack, I've listened to it so many times. If I have to actually say, like, there are so many great soundtracks from this year, like Andrew Parlow, who did Echoes of the Eye, Lena Raine for Chicory, the Final Fantasy VII remake soundtrack, which is like just a complete remix of the traditional soundtrack. Just really fucking stellar soundtracks from this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I adore Chicory. It's not a game that I think I can play again because so much of it is through that first playthrough. It's that journey that you take with your characters and experience for the first time. And, it's not a game that I expect to see a sequel for, really.
No. Self-contained,
Yeah, it is a thing that is special and unique, and I think a lot of games can learn from it in the way it tackles its themes without being...
like insensitive.
I don't know what the word is.
Overly...
not even insensitive, just being like preachy about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably better.
So yeah, great game.
Chicory robbed this year. No game of the year.
Yeah, I was actually quite mad that because to me all that tells me is that I don't think people have not played Chicory, but I think if you look at the nominees for the Game Awards, you can very likely tell what the majority of people played. And I think Chicory just hasn't been played enough, which is a real sadness because it's it's one of the best games I've played in a very long time. A
Yeah.
complete surprise, and easily the best game of this year. That was like the first thing I put on my list was that. I
yeah.
was like, Chicory's number one. The rest of the four,
I
I'm
was
not entirely
I was
sure.
only debating because I was like, Outer Wilds I love, but like didn't come out this year, and I really want Chicory to be number one. So there you go.
Super good game. Yeah.
How nice.
Congratulations to that entire team because you guys fucking deserve
nailed
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it.
We'll send you a trophy. We don't have a trophy.
I can't afford a trophy. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's
our games of the year.
Games of 2021. I think it's been a very good year for games. A bit uneven in spots, but I think the only reason you think this year might be disappointing in games is if you aren't playing indies
Chicory.
because indies propped it up.
Yeah, I think that's a theme that popped up for us a lot throughout the year with our reviews of like, oh my god, look at this surprise indie game that we just didn't expect to love. I mean,
Chicory.
Death's Door, Chicory. I know.
Forgotten
I
City, Echoes of the Eye.
Yeah, like
Unpacking. I mean, games we haven't even played, like Inscription, which everyone is talking about.
Yeah.
So, indies really knocked it out the park this year, as they mostly do. I think we discussed the last podcast, but Sony didn't have the best year, I think. I think Returnal and Ratchet are very good games, but I think outside of that, they were quite, quiet. And I think Microsoft had a really good holiday season. So, ebbs and flows of the AAA space. But yeah, it's been a great year. I'm very excited for next year. Next year is going to have some bangers, I think.
We can reveal our game of the year for next year already. It's Elden Ring. It's done. Oh God, I hope
congratulations to Bandai Namco and
well done.
Miyazaki. Yeah. Okay, we'll also send you a trophy.
My goodness. Yeah,
we'll send you a Potman trophy.
Nah.
Well, you can send us a Potman trophy.
We'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
I'd love that. Cool.
But yeah, it's been a fantastic year. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast journey throughout 2021. We hope you'll be back in 2022. We will definitely be back.
I don't know when we'll be back, but I'm assuming just
yet,
during the course of January sometime. We haven't even looked at a calendar. I mean,
it's going to be in January sometime.
Maybe Monday the 10th or 17th or 24th. I don't know. We'll see how long of a break we want, because let me tell you,
we'll pop that shit on Twitter.
We put a lot of love and hard work into this podcast, and we absolutely love doing it. But a break 100%. is much needed.
We need a recharge. You know, we have jobs, and we both need just a complete unplug from the world. And I think if you are listening to this, treat yourself to that if you can as well.
Treat yourself.
It does wonders for you.
Go play Chicory.
Yeah, go play Chicory if you haven't. Have a little cry. It's a great way to start the holiday season. But yeah, thank you so much as always for supporting this podcast. We will see you in January. Until then, be safe, take care, love you lots. Goodbye.
Bye.